Hey guys, welcome back to the Girlfriends and Goals podcast. My name is Samaria and I'm joined by my best friend and co-host.
Miosha.
And we are reviewing Love is Blind UK season 1. This review, I guess, is a little late because I see people already putting up new episodes.
We late.
Yeah, we're a little late, but we're doing 1 through 4 in one video, so you'll get it all here. And then we'll be back next week with episodes 5 through 9, I think they release.
I haven't even looked because I didn't want to be tainted. I don't know what's
Okay.
out.
Well, if you are watching this video, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, but we're going to go ahead and dive right in. You let us know in the comments how you felt about each of these characters initially. So let's go ahead and start with funeral director Freddie.
Ooh, fine Freddie.
He is adorable. He's so pretty.
He is. Look at him.
Look
The
at the
men,
material.
all right. The men and women have been swimming over him.
Yeah,
He's a
and
nice looking
rightfully so.
person. Yeah.
Rightfully so. So his first interaction was with Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
Catherine, I don't know, she's very giddy. That was my first impression of her. One thing she's gonna do is laugh, but he
Mm-hmm.
talked about how his brother has Down syndrome, and then she said that she teaches kids with Down syndrome. I think they get each other's sense of humor. It seemed
Mm-hmm.
like a decent match upon first view.
Yeah, she was laughing a lot. And so I don't know if that was nervousness or she was just smitten with him through the pods. But yeah, I like their first interaction. I feel like it was a good start, not awkward. And then we see, I don't know if we want to skip to her next
With
connection.
Ollie, absolutely.
Hmm. All right, so we'll show him.
Yeah, so Ollie and Catherine, I thought it was a good vibe. Girl, I thought she was giddy before, but she was like kicking her legs up. And like, maybe it's just a Catherine thing. Maybe she's smitten with everybody. We didn't really get to see her interact with other guys outside of these two, but his voice apparently had her shook. I literally wrote
Right.
sorry to funeral director Freddie because it seems like he done lost her.
But, I was thinking back, Freddie has a nice voice too. They both have nice voices. I didn't pick up on that much of a difference. Maybe it was the accent. So I think in the UK they do have slightly different accents based off of where
Okay.
they're from.
Yes,
So I'm
yes,
like,
yes.
is it the accent that she's just so drawn to? I don't know. Nothing about Ollie's voice. I didn't understand it, but that was her thing. Yeah, I don't know.
What was your first impression of Ollie? Because for me, it gave like flirty, fun,
Hmm.
playboy vibes, almost like he's trying to be outside. So initially, I was like, huh, how serious is he?
And he said early on that he's been known to date for looks. So I don't know. I think he kind of told us. I can't say if
Yeah.
he's a changed man, but I feel like at this point we've seen so many people come on this show who claim to be changed, and all their previous relationships they've been highly obsessed with the way people look physically. So he says that he's changed, but I get that he loves to be outside.
Yeah.
Um,
He's
I
having
thought that
fun.
he connected with Catherine. He likes to work out, so does she, and Freddie as well. They're both very
Yeah.
physical. But I don't know, Ollie. I really want to be giving people a chance when they come on these shows. So I just wrote, he's talking a good game. I'm going to try not to be biased based off of what I've seen on this show in the past. So what he
Yeah.
says so far, if you're changed, we'll believe you're changed until you show us otherwise.
In these 4 episodes liked Ollie.
Hmm.
Speaking of physical, I just want to add one thing that Catherine said. So she said something about, oh, guys look at me and they judge the book by the cover and they just see, like, they just think sex. And again, like Steph Anya said on her channel, when people tell you, like, what they are initially or how they're perceived, how they think they're perceived, that typically feeds into maybe how they view themselves a little bit. So,
And it wasn't surprising because she did kind of present herself that way. She was, I think, flirty a bit. I don't think it was out of place. I just
no.
think her energy was a little bit giddy plus flirty. So I wasn't surprised when Ollie was saying that he was getting this vibe from her.
He did say that. So yeah, so he goes into his date with Demi first,
Hmm.
which I I liked the vibe between him and Demi. I liked the competitiveness. Thank you. I like the
Mm.
competitiveness of, oh, nobody could beat me in arcade basketball or whatever. Um, I liked it. What did you think about it?
So I didn't mind it. For me, where it went left was when she actually told him that she's
Mm,
been seen as one of the guys and friend zoned a lot. That is nothing I would ever say to a potential romantic partner, because the first thing you're going to think is why? Why are people putting you in the friend zone? And so that was the only thing for me. I was like, girl, you could have left that part out,
okay.
because he was vibing with her. She plays soccer, she's social on the weekends, so
Hmm.
is he. So
Yeah.
they seem to really be connecting. So I don't
Okay.
know. I would have left that part out. Yeah.
I can see that. I
He
can
may
see
have
it.
planted an unnecessary seed.
Seed. Okay, you don't want somebody to put you in a category that other people have put you in, so just don't bring it up. Like,
This show is a crazy experiment and you're going to an extreme. So why
mhm.
would you talk about what you've been doing? That makes no sense to me.
Especially if it could be a negative, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't think too much of it in that setting. What I did
Mm.
think maybe a little bit too much about, because I see it in my notes here, but when she asked him, "Oh, so do you want a family?" He's like, "Yeah, I definitely want kids." And I was just like, "Okay, but what about the wife?" And I don't know. It just it hit my ears a little bit different.
I'm going to give him grace. And that, well, I'll say
Fair.
I agree with you. A family can be a husband and a wife. A
Hmm.
family is whatever you make it to be. Wife and wife, it's whatever you make it to be. But I think, I'm assuming he was just talking about kids,
Okay.
that when she said it, and also maybe a cultural difference. We live in the US, maybe it's very normal for people over there to refer
Mm,
to, oh, do you want a family, which basically means, do you want to have kids? Y'all
kids.
people across the pond, tell us. We could be off.
I will say that one thing that I thought was really sweet was him talking about, I try not to be too committed to that because some people can't have kids, which, later on it came up and I was like, whoa, I'm so glad he said that in episode one
Hmm.
because he didn't know and I can see why it was comforting to her. But let's not get
And
ahead.
I'll,
Oh, go
I'll
ahead.
add, Ollie, I'm going to give you your kudos on that, because
Period.
even in 2024, 2023, whenever this was filmed, there's a
Mhm.
lot of people who still just think that, oh, everyone can have kids and you just snap your fingers and it's done.
Yes.
And you would think it was more well known, especially amongst men who may not be as well versed with the
Hmm.
getting pregnant, birth, and all that whole
The whole
process.
process, yeah.
Yeah, just how we saw, what was it, Love Is Blind one season, where it was the whole birth control talk.
Yeah, it was last
Yeah,
season.
yeah, and he didn't know anything about what
Birth
he could
control.
do to prevent birth.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say, I started taking Ollie a little bit more serious after that. And then when he went in the lounge and he
Hmm.
said, first of all, before he even went to the men's lounge, he got out of the date with Demi and was like, she's cool. I really like her. I was like,
Hmm.
okay,
He was
maybe he's here
vibing.
for substance. Yeah. And then in
Hmm.
the men's lounge, he said to the guy, he said, Catherine gives me like, flirty sexual vibes, but Demi, like, it feels like there's more substance there. And so,
Hmm.
even if he turns out to be a jerk, I did think at that moment, okay, maybe this person is here for a deep connection. And he is,
Hmm.
even if he's not completely changed, he is maybe making a shift, starting to make a
Hmm.
shift. So, yeah.
Which I think adds up. If he was leaning more into Catherine at this point, I
Hmm.
would say you're leaning into your old ways based off of what you
Yeah.
said and
Yeah.
how those first interactions went. I wanted to ask you, how did you feel about, since we're talking about Demi and Catherine,
Hmm.
that whole thing with them being cozied up back in the women's lounge and
Yeah.
Demi withholding information about her connection with Ollie?
I thought it was an interesting, like, first of all, I don't think Catherine should have been disclosing so much. Like she was wearing her heart on her
Mm.
sleeves. And then I think Demi was really just trying to shut it down so that she didn't burst her bubble, but also maybe didn't get so much information that she becomes insecure in their connection. I thought it was a
Mhm.
little bit awkward.
Mm. Yeah, I don't think Demi was wrong for how she handled it.
Hmm.
Y'all are not friends. Why they were cozied up like that, I have no idea. Especially after the Rona. Give me.
And Rio, shut please. Anyways.
Oh, but yeah, that for me that wasn't adding up, and I was fine with the way she handled it. I think it was in this scene where was it this scene where she was trying to get answers, and then Catherine was like, "Oh, I don't know if they would be the right fit," or was that
No, it was
later?
later
It
on.
was later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I want to touch on Sabrina and Steven. So
Mm-hmm.
Steven, 37, Sabrina, 35. I felt like Steven was here to find a wife. So yes, that's Sabrina. I really like Sabrina, like generally speaking. But he is a gym owner, and I felt like he was there to find his wife because even in
Mm-hmm.
their initial conversation, he's like, "Oh, so you live in Belfast, I think?
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to stay in Belfast? Would you be open to moving?" You know, he's trying to figure out, okay, if this goes somewhere, is this going to be an issue or not? And I
Get to
appreciate
the
when people
point.
have those conversations, yeah, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, falling in love,
Hmm.
knowing that you're permanently tied to a specific location, it makes no sense.
Absolutely. I won't say too much about them, but I did note that I thought he was very intentional, at least at this point, and that I like
Mm-hmm.
the age range of this season. I like that we're seeing 37 and 35 and not, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, 24 and 20. Not that
Yeah.
there's anything wrong with that. Anybody can fall in love at any point and commit at that age, but these people are more established, which maybe reflected in the questions that Steven's asking and the way that she's answering and all that stuff.
And I think for us, naturally, as viewers, we maybe see a connection when people are younger. We really start to question, well, are you really serious? Have you really exhausted all resources out in the dating world at
Hmm.
25?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
I like their connection so far. I love that they had the question about kids very
Hmm.
early on because that could be another deal breaker. She said that she would be okay if she didn't have kids and that she
Yes.
doesn't equate having kids to making her happy. He
Hmm.
says that he always envisioned himself having at least one mini me.
So to me, this was a deal breaker, and I don't know how they'll move past it. Like permanently. They found a workaround temporarily, but I think they ended a conversation on the whole kids thing after they
Hmm.
had agreed on so many things and connected in a bunch of different ways. This just kind of was like, okay, we need to take a step back.
I have one question for you on Steven. So he tells this story about the girlfriend who had a tumor. She became ill
Hmm.
and she, I guess, was going through the treatment process.
Hmm.
He says that she broke up with him
Hmm.
while this whole thing was going on. Did you have any thoughts on that story that
I
he
didn't have any
told?
thoughts on that story. I have thoughts that come up about Steven later.
Okay,
but
okay.
but no thoughts on that story. I just thought, okay, they've had this hard conversation about the children thing. They found a way to move forward supposedly with
Mm-hmm.
surrogacy and adoption being options, which I mean, technically it would still be his mini me if she decided to go with a surrogate. But the adoption option, that sounded
Mm-hmm.
repetitive. I don't know that he would be happy with that. But either way, they decide to move past that.
And with that, I wrote, I don't know if I'm convinced on Sabrina really wanting kids
I'm
at
not
this
either.
point.
Because
Yeah.
she's 35, and not to say that
Hmm.
people can't change their mind after 35. There's no cutoff, but yeah, I also was not convinced. I think it was just this is my strongest connection right now, and I do want to explore it, so why
Hmm.
not? So
I'd agree.
that's how I
All
felt
right.
about that. All right, we have to talk about Sam. So let's start with Sam and Jasmine.
Mhm.
So I think it's interesting when you start off, and maybe this is just how the producers edited it, but the first time we meet Sam, he's talking about how he's had so much work done to make sure that he likes what he looks like. He did the nose job at different surgeries. He came off the apps. He goes to the gym. I don't know. It just felt like he was giving us too much information. He seemed
That and you're
first
signing up for a show called Love is Blind.
blind. where you don't see the person and they don't see you.
Are you going to feel away if that person didn't do a whole bunch of work to get ready, or you felt like they should have done more to get ready? I don't know.
Well, he keeps stressing that he just wants to be loved. He just wants somebody to take a chance on him. And I think that's true to an extent. Um, I think he really wants to be on this show, and I think he really wants to be in this process. That's why I initially thought, like, okay, he's doing a little too much. So we can talk about his interaction with Jasmine, but I remember at the end he goes, "Okay, remember me, Sam from London. That's who you should remember." Okay, it's like, okay, if the
It's a
connection is
sales
hitting,
pitch for him.
exactly, he
And
was trying to
it
sell
made
too much.
his interactions with Jasmine very awkward. Who could pick up on the energy just being way off?
She was clocking it. She
Yeah.
said, "Well, why do you think girls aren't giving you a chance? Do you give off F-boy energy? Like all these women out here, and none of them would even give you a chance. Like what's going on there?"
Yeah. And he
Yeah.
really couldn't say why,
He
other
said that
than,
he just gives one night stand vibes. Like
but why?
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then in his confessional, he said something like, "Oh, people always say, Sam, you could have any girl you want." And he's like, "But no, I really can't." Like, nobody said that to you, Sam. Come
And
on.
if someone is saying that to you, then why all the prep beforehand? It's not adding up for me.
Yeah, something's
Yeah.
off there. All right, and then we have Sam and Nicole. So
Hmm.
I really enjoyed Nicole. I thought she was very approachable, and like I enjoyed Jasmine and Nicole. Jasmine because she was clocking stuff left and right, but
Right.
I, I liked Nicole initially, and I think she had the intuition. She just had to trust it. Even in this first episode, she's like, "Oh, you're so sweet. I feel like you're saying all the right things." Yeah, that's your sign.
Yeah, it's ping, ping, ping. It's trying to tell you something,
Yeah.
but I wonder why she glossed right over it because I don't know. To me the interactions Nicole had with Sam didn't seem like that deep or big of a connection. It
Hmm.
almost felt like, "Ooh, he's really into me. Let me keep this option open." That's
Yeah.
where I walked away from their interactions.
Okay.
Uh, yeah.
Now, what did you think about Nicole and Benaiah?
So she seems to be intrigued by his lifestyle, the fact that he's a nomad. He calls
Hmm.
himself technically homeless.
Hmm.
Uh, she seems to be enamored because it's the opposite of the life she's living. She said that she's maybe dreamed of, I guess, not having a permanent place and just moving around.
Hmm.
And so I wrote that sounds cool, but I have concerns. Just because you're not in that lifestyle right now,
Hmm.
and I think there's levels to being a nomad. So I don't know. Other than her being intrigued by his lifestyle, I didn't sense a super strong connection there either.
Really? Okay. I think there was a stronger connection
Well, stronger, but
between
for
the two of
marriage or
them.
like quick proposal, I didn't get that from the initial conversation.
Yeah. So when he starts talking about, "Oh, I do freelance. I'm self-employed," it does sound cool in that
Hmm.
everybody who has so much structure, we look forward to a break. We look forward to some type of reprieve from our normal lives,
Hmm.
but this is his normal life. So I wrote down that this just isn't giving stability, and
Mm-mm.
the freedom is a little too appealing to her at this point. And I was hoping she would come back around to it, which she did later, but not in the way I wanted her to.
Yeah, and also it's like, okay, well, do you have a permanent apartment or
Hmm.
room in London? And
Yeah.
then you're just always moving around. And
He
I
said
think
he's
at
couch
this,
surfing.
yeah, you don't have a room at your parents' house. I don't know. He also said that he's been single since 2012 and hasn't seriously dated since then. I
Hmm.
assume that, okay, maybe that's because you're always on the go and it can be hard to be in a
Maintain.
long-term relationship if you're never home.
Yeah.
But he also says he sees travel as an escape. So
Right.
then I'm like, oh, maybe that's also why you haven't been with a person for a significant amount of time.
Yeah. And I just wonder how that, like, Nicole's life seems just a little bit too stable for him. And it's one thing to vacation together, but it's another thing to just kind of be out here winging it, which it sounds like that's what he's doing. I'm glad that she came back and asked him about it, because that to me shows that it is a concern for her. She's not so enamored by his life that she hasn't given a second thought to, okay, he might not be stable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he
And
said something about having a rough childhood, and I think there's some work that Benaiah needs to do. I think he seems like a very nice guy. I think there's some work that he needs to do surrounding his childhood, um, and how to move past it so that he can now establish a stable environment for himself, a potential partner, maybe kids if that's something that they're interested in. And Nicole seems to be farther along in that. Maybe she would want kids soon, but you can't do that with a partner who's everywhere else but home.
yeah, I agree. I think she also said in this episode, family is what you make it or who you make it with. So it seems like she would be, at this point, open and flexible. She didn't give a whole
Yeah.
lot of detail on what she envisions her future family life to look like.
In this
So,
episode, yeah.
yeah.
So I want to go back to Jasmine and Sam, because they had a second date, which I was so surprised because she was clocking stuff so early. I didn't think that she would have a second date with him, but but she was being very upfront with him in their second date about the doubts that she had about him, which I appreciated. I I feel like Sam really wanted Jasmine to be it. Like, because she didn't want him, I think that made him want her even more.
Mm-hmm. To
And that
win
was
a
interesting to watch.
competition.
Yes. He was really chasing her. So when he was all down about it in the men's lounge, I was like, what are you fighting for? You remember when Andrew asked Molly that? Like, what are you fighting for right now? Because it's
Well,
not
he
a
said,
deep
"Oh, she gives
connection.
me butterflies." Nothing about the conversation they had gave me butterflies. It was basically her checking you on your
The
weird
entire
energy.
time.
So if that gives you butterflies, okay.
I mean, just say you want somebody to be mean to you. That's it. But speaking of Jasmine, she had another connection this episode, which they didn't show too much in this one, but
Hmm.
it ends up, yeah, we see more later on.
Hmm.
But Jasmine and Bobby, who is a luxury
Hmm.
shopping guide,
Hmm.
what were your thoughts about their vibe?
I liked their vibe.
Okay.
The only concern I had was his lifestyle, in
Mm-hmm.
that he hadn't, it seems like he would be in transition. It sounds like he's still doing the cruise ship thing, obviously not
Yes.
while on the show,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. It seems like he's in transition, and I don't know. From everything that Jasmine says, she seems to be stable. She's a mental health nurse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. Would she be open to taking the journey of being with someone in transition, trying to figure out, okay, what is my next career choice and move
Yeah.
post being, basically living on a cruise ship?
Yeah.
So,
Hey, did it feel like these episodes were longer to you?
they're about
Oh.
55 minutes to an hour.
I don't know. They just felt really long, and I couldn't figure out
Mm.
why.
You know why? Because I
Why?
think we saw so if the US version, we see the first episode, sometimes two, a lot of connect, like people talking and dating that
Yeah,
never end up together, versus
maybe.
with the UK, it seems like they're getting to the point of we're
Yeah.
only really talking about the people who connected, which I actually kind of like.
Okay.
Just these are going to be the couples, or kind of what we think the couples will be. They're showing us the
Mm-hmm.
dates of the people who actually end up on
End
the
up
show,
somewhere. Yes.
versus all
So
these the random dating. I even in our notes, I feel like the first episode I'm usually talking about a bunch of people that never end up on the
we never
show.
talk about again. Okay,
So
fair. Fair.
yeah.
You guys let us know in the comments what you thought. Did these episodes feel longer to you, or do you prefer the way that Miosha said, where it's like we're getting into the stuff that matters
Hmm.
sooner? Okay, so
Yeah.
we do see Freddie, Catherine, Ollie, Demi. We do see them later on in this episode, so I just want to quickly address some things with
Hmm.
them. So for Freddie and Catherine, I thought they were cute, but the fact that they were shocked that both of their grandparents' names were Bill and Mary, I thought, okay, girl, that's like Michael and Ashley in our generation. Everybody grandmama name is Bill and Mary.
Hmm.
Come on. So
And
I didn't
usually
think
Bill
that
is
was
a nickname
for
sometimes.
William. Yeah. And so
So
I she was literally moved to tears about this, and that's why it struck me as strange. Maybe they're just
There
common
were
names
a lot of moments these first few episodes
where
of
she was
her
crying.
emotional outbursts. Yeah.
Yes. So that was interesting. But I wrote that I thought they were a better match than her and Ollie, which, even though that was very obviously the case, she was
Hmm.
still very into
Hmm.
Ollie. Okay, Ollie and Demi. So I like their clear communication towards the end
Mm.
here. So I think they had a conversation where he was like, "Oh, she asked, how would you feel if I was acting a certain way?" And he said, "Oh, I might leave
Hmm.
for the weekend," which don't joke like that. Like for me, like, I'm sorry, that's not funny because now I think facts come through jokes.
Hmm.
Now I'm like, it's gonna happen. But I like that she was just very clear about what she needed. She said, "I need reassurance."
Hmm.
Yeah, I liked them. And I appreciated at the end when Demi said, "I'm not here to hurt my friends, but I am here to secure a connection for myself," because it
Hmm.
was starting to seem like, okay, Catherine is really
Hmm.
going in with the whole Ollie thing. But you got to put you first, Lucius. Like, you
Yeah.
can't, you can't sacrifice a connection you're feeling because she likes him too on
And
a show
that's why
like
you're
this.
here.
You're not here to make friends. You and Catherine probably won't be friends in 5 years.
Mm-mm. No.
So,
Yeah.
all right, and then this was the episode where Sabrina or Steven proposed to Sabrina. So
Yeah.
there we
And I thought
go.
the proposal was fine, and she said
Well,
yes.
no, because remember it
Oh,
ended
well.
with her
Oh,
not
yeah,
saying yes.
the
Yeah,
cliffhanger. She had a very long.
yeah, and then she was like, "Oh, maybe I should have started with yes." You think? Yes, girl, you should have. But
Mm-mm.
with all the whole speech that he gave and the speech she gave, I really hope that they work out.
I do, but kids is a big one. Mm.
It is a big one. Okay,
Yeah.
so then we see Nicole and Sam and Nicole and Benaiah. It's the same thing. I don't have many
Mm.
notes on them, at least at the beginning of episode 2,
Yeah.
except that I think Benaiah needs to be a boyfriend, not a husband. Right. Then we meet Maria and Tom. Do you have their pictures?
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about. I forgot. Yeah, they did introduce them later. Yeah, I
Yeah,
do
they
have their
did.
pictures. I thought I
So,
did. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
okay, perfect.
Well, Tom,
So that is
mouth wide
Tom.
open.
Right. And then Maria. Actually, Tom is the one who I have second thoughts about, not Steven. Sorry, I mixed them up.
I
But
thought that's what you meant, but I said, oh,
who am I? She know what
mhm,
she's talking about. No,
mhm.
Tom is the one who I have issues about. But he shared quite a bit with Maria initially. I was concerned about the age gap between them because 30 and
Mhm.
38, but they seem to hit it off.
They
He says
did.
that not being able to open up in his last relationship is what messed it up for them. So I thought he really was trying to correct that by being so open with Maria on their first date about his dad and everything else that had happened in his past.
Yeah, I appreciate how he was saying how he was really big on personal development
Mm-hmm.
when he was bringing up the abandonment issues. And I said, kudos to you, Tom, for seeking to do the work because I feel like so many people underestimate how your childhood and your upbringing, your different experiences really can go on
Mm-hmm.
to shape your future relationships and not just romantic friendships, too.
But I also wonder about the whole vulnerability thing because you know how sometimes people have things that they're okay with being vulnerable about.
Hmm.
Like, okay, he might not have an issue being vulnerable about his dad because that was so far in the past. But if new things come up, how is he
Hmm.
vulnerable then? Or is he vulnerable then? How does that work? So I am still a little concerned, but I can absolutely see someone who's trying to progress, at least at this point.
And he's 38. He might be the oldest.
He is, I think.
Yes, yeah, he is the oldest on the show, so I would think at this point, yeah, you probably had enough dating experiences or experiences in general, maybe to have more direction on, okay, these are the things I should course correct before I sign up for a marriage.
Okay, fair.
Um, so yeah.
All
But
right.
yeah, Maria, I liked Maria. The story she told about her dad was extremely sad. Whew.
Yeah, they both had some like interesting
I
background.
feel like there's been a lot of sad stories
Mhm.
and a lot of deadbeat dads going on. I'm like, what is
What is going on across the pond?
y'all daddies is not doing what they need to do. Even maybe I'm jumping ahead. I can't remember, but it sticks out. Jasmine had a conversation with Bobby about that. I think it
I
happened
think so.
later though.
Yeah, it did
Yeah.
happen later. So
Mm.
Freddie and Kat in this episode, they start to really lock in. Like he talks to her about how he might have to take responsibility for his brother later on in life, and
Hmm.
she seemed to be open about it, but that was a really vulnerable moment. And being a caretaker, I can imagine for him it's probably a thing that he felt like, okay, I have to make sure I bring this up at the right time because this is a huge possibility if you are someone who ends up with me. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah. I thought the timing of him bringing it up was excellent.
it's good. Yeah.
I struggle sometimes. It's like I get you want to not tell everyone your business, but
Mhm.
especially in this process, I think within the first date or two, at least by
Yes.
the second date, you should be laying out as much as you can so that
Hmm.
you're not following someone and they're not falling for you and then maybe feeling like they need to agree to something that they really don't want to because they like you. So I appreciated the timing, like, let's just get it
Yes.
on out here. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. After this talk, I just said she and Ollie need to call it quits. But then it went into the episode or into the date where she said what places she goes and hangs out at, and he didn't approve or something. He's like, "Well, I know the type of girl who goes to those places, and that doesn't really work for me." So I don't know. They just weren't.
So, yeah, back to Ollie. His questioning is really around being outside. I never really saw any deeper questions with them because she opened
Mm-hmm.
up with Freddie about her being adopted and how that affected her
Mm-hmm.
as she got older. Another really sad story.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, when he asked her, she was like, "Oh, yeah, I went to Cirque for my birthday," which to me said a lot about him, the way he reacted, saying, "Oh, pretentious people go there." And so do
How you
you.
know? Because you've been in there too, huh?
Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
she was put off by that. And I
Yeah.
would have been too. How are you going to judge somebody by where they went for their birthday?
When it's somewhere for their birthday. Like she doesn't even go there all the time. But they weren't a
Mm-mm.
match anyway, so I was just waiting for something to to come in between them.
And I
Uh,
think in this episode, she said her heart was with Freddie and she wanted to make it easier on Ollie.
yeah, so that was towards the end though, and I think
Mm,
that
oh,
was when
yeah.
that was when she started to see that he had pulled back, like the way
Mm-hmm.
that he reacted to her being out. So yeah, he made this analogy of like Cat being a home that seems perfect, but his heart's not in it.
Oh, I
You
missed
don't remember
that.
that? He was like, it's a house where you get there and it has like he didn't say white picket fence, but it has the white picket
Oh,
fence
I
has
do
all the,
now. Well, girl, it's been a while.
yes. But it just doesn't work out. So anyway,
Yeah.
I do want to circle back to Tom and Maria because he does have another connection, which is Natasha.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he has more fun with Maria, but I don't know, I was feeling some warm and fuzzies between him and Natasha. Also, his
I
laugh is very weird.
Samaria.
He's like,
Um,
like,
you're
okay.
a
I mean,
mess.
I have a weird laugh too, so I can't talk.
Yeah, so Natasha, she has said that she's lacked vulnerability in her past relationships, but she's
Mhm.
looking for more in marriage. She shared
Yes.
that she's lost a bunch of weight and that she
Hmm.
struggled with self-confidence, but she
Yes.
said that she was really feeling Tom. I feel like with Natasha and Tom, I was getting that they were vibing.
Hmm.
Maybe, oh, we have a lot in common and friendly vibes.
Okay.
And with Maria, I got a more relaxed
Yes.
vibe. He said something that about Maria just wouldn't just fit right into his life. And he didn't say why.
But don't you right? And this is where I start to question because I'm like, that's not what you want. Like, you don't want somebody who fits into your life.
but he can see her himself talking to her every day. She brings out his humor side. So I think with Maria, he's laughing and having a good time.
Fair.
And I think later on we kind of figure out maybe why she wouldn't fit right into his life, even though I wish he would have said that here. In this episode, the assumption would be that Natasha would just fit right in. I think because they're just vibing and maybe they have a lot in common. That was my guess.
Yeah, I did have a concern because she said in her past relationship, vulnerability was an issue, the partner not opening up. And so I felt like if they were to continue, that could be a trigger for her, him
Well,
not
she said
opening
she
up.
wasn't opening up.
Wait, is that what she said?
Yeah, she said she had struggled with vulnerability. Yeah, that's what I wrote. That she was the one that would struggle with like
Oh, I don't know.
making the
Y'all let us
connection.
know because I have
Yeah.
she struggled with a partner not being vulnerable and wants someone to show that side.
Well, y'all let us know which one of
Please,
us is
because we're
wrong.
not going back to watch. We got 5 episodes to catch up on. We can't go back.
But
All right.
she seemed to be vulnerable with him, and I wrote, and I don't know if I was right that oh, okay, she seems to be doing things differently by opening up. So y'all let us know.
Moving on. Okay, so maybe let's talk about the Steven and Sabrina reveal really quickly and get that done.
Okay.
So I wrote that she'll be surprised he's not bald. He got a head full of hair.
Right, and I wrote, what does bald energy mean? What does it give? I've never been able to pick up on this, or
Ever.
well,
Ever.
then again, I've never decided to get engaged to someone sight unseen. So
You just got to
Sabrina,
create
what does
something
this
in your
mean?
head. But I thought, long story short, it was a very sweet reveal. They were very calm and proper. They didn't even run and scream. They walked to each other politely. I was like, is this how it's going to be? Is this how it is for the British? Because we had
Proper.
Johnny and Jimmy and Chelsea where she ran down, ran down to meet him with all that noise.
But yeah,
Anyway,
I like the initial interactions. He jumps right in with the compliments. You look stunning. She says you do
yes.
too. They were laughing. She
Yeah.
comments on like, oh, you were giving me bald energy. Lots of kissing.
Yeah.
She said, oh, he's tall, dark, and handsome. Everything I could have ever wanted.
Yeah.
He says, oh, she has the beauty that matches inside. So I liked this reveal. It
I
was
did
the
too.
I'm like, oh, this makes sense.
One of the top reveals on the entire show, I think.
Hmm.
No awkwardness or anything. Okay, so now we can move to, I guess, Jasmine and Bobby and all the things they talked about in this episode.
Okay.
Obviously, Bobby is the better choice. I don't know if he is the choice, but he's
Okay.
the better choice for her. Um, Sam was also in this episode talking to Jasmine, talking about, well, maybe I'm not meant to be with anyone. Boo
The
hoo.
self-deprecating talk is sending me. Like it makes me uncomfortable.
Yes.
Gosh.
Yes.
But yeah.
Um, all right.
Oh,
So with
I
Jasmine
was
and
gonna say
Bob,
this was the part where Bobby
yeah,
starts to open up about his dad being absent, and I loved how she's jumping right in to ask the meaningful questions to really get to know people.
I really like her. She said, "I want to be your safe space." I said, "You better get your man, girl. You
Hmm.
better let him know I am here for you." So yeah, I also wrote, "Is this a season of absent fathers?" Because, like you said, it's a lot going on.
That and more sad stories. The story he
Yeah.
told about Danny, the cousin, and the wife.
Oh my gosh! Right. This
It's
man
too.
needs to write a movie. Tyler Perry needs to hire him.
Tyler Perry said, "I'm gonna do what I do.
Cause
Y'all gonna get
that's
this
how you
movie."
tell a story. We were locked down. Yeah, my cousin Daniel, we used to play basketball, and then my mom calls me. You better sit down for this. Girl. Like that's how you. He's a storyteller. Um, okay,
But yeah.
so Jasmine breaks it off with Sam in this episode, and this man says she broke it off with me. And beggars can't be choosers. Imagine being Nicole and seeing that.
That and how he was just like, oh, so I'm just supposed to not be who I am? This is ridiculous. Like, even his reaction was
Yeah.
crazy.
Over the top and unnecessary.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ollie and Demi. This was the episode where it's his birthday, and she made him the card, and I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah.
It reminded
Um,
me, I don't know if you watched this season, but there was a season where Bliss and Zach, it was Zach's birthday and she made him, I think, a cupcake or something like that. And they're still married.
mhm.
They just had their first child. So it reminded me of that. Now we hope for happy endings for everybody, but that's not realistic with this show.
You know, when that scene happened, I didn't have an issue with the birthday card
Hmm.
and the rose quartz and the cake she made.
Okay.
I feel like I had an issue with it a little bit later, and I'll just
Why?
leave it at that. I don't want to say why because that'll be jumping ahead. So at
Okay,
this point,
fine.
I'm at
Fine.
this point
Keep your
I'm fine
secrets.
with I'm fine with the birthday card. I thought it was a really nice gesture, very
Hmm.
thoughtful, and it gave him confirmation that Demi was the one being, thinking of him
Yes.
and all of that. So,
And then Catherine here says, I'll be the bigger person and, break it off. Are you the bigger person or have we realized that he's not checking for you like that? Like,
yeah, because at least the way it was edited, it seemed as though once they went back to the women's lounge and she
yeah.
saw how happy Demi was and how
Yes.
things were going, she already maybe I can agree maybe she was realizing their connection really wasn't where it was,
As
should be
strong.
anyways,
Yes.
but her suggesting that she was going to do them a favor or do Demi a
Mm-hmm.
favor by bowing out, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think it was, what did she say, like, oh, I don't think that they would work.
In the real world. Yeah. It's like, okay, so this is why, like, you don't want people to judge a book by its cover, but this is exactly what you're doing. Like you do want people to judge your book by its cover a little bit because you're over here, making slick remarks about Demi, and what her appearance is versus yours. Like that comment about, oh, people judge the book by its cover really came back in my mind when she was making these comparisons with Demi, and I didn't like that.
I will say, and y'all don't eat me up for giving Kat too much grace, but back to when Ollie
I want to hear it.
back to when Ollie asked her about where does she go out in London, and then he goes, "Oh, those places are mad pretentious," and I said, "Oh, but he goes." This whole time we've been given the vibe that Ollie likes to be outside. He
Hmm.
goes to pretentious clubs just like she does. Maybe from what Demi has presented about how she carries herself, maybe in Kat's mind she knows, oh, if you go to the same way he was judging her for going to those places, Kat may have been judging him. These are the clubs and the areas that you go and hang out, and that's not Demi or her vibe. Maybe I'm reaching, but maybe there was something within the conversations. It could have been the way Demi looks, option one, and or it could be from what she saw of Demi and the vibe she got from Ollie. It's like,
Uh-huh.
oh yeah, that's not gonna work because he's pretentious too.
I don't think it's her
I
place
could
to
be I could be
say.
reaching. I could be way
I
off.
don't, either way, I don't think it's her place to say, but
Right.
I'll let you have your theory. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I think this was the episode where Benaiah and Nicole, like, they start talking about his views about marriage. She specifically asks him or directly asks him,
Hmm.
is marriage something that you are actually ready for? And of course he's not. Like, well, you knew the answer before you asked that. But I was just hoping and praying that this was not the answer that sent her in Sam's direction.
Well, she asked him, "Do you see yourself proposing to someone?"
Hmm.
She didn't say while you're here ever. Either way, I think we got the right answer regardless of it.
Yeah.
And that even with them, I hadn't seen anything that would suggest that he would was connected to her to the point where he was on the verge of proposing.
Hmm.
He said he enjoys her but needs time, and I thought that that was a fair answer, as
Yeah.
well as well, one for him, but also Nicole for you to really think through this whole nomad lifestyle that you would be signing up for.
Yeah.
So.
And, you know, I think that did send her towards Sam a little bit more.
Because he seemed sure.
Yes, and then we had this like whole lucky bracelet thing that probably isn't even lucky. She was hesitant, which I thought was smart. It felt like Nicole's intuition was like slap boxing her and she was still, like she was fighting it back instead of just succumbing to what her intuition was trying to tell her. And
All
so
the signs.
the entire time, and I felt like Sam was extremely manipulative with the whole,
Hmm.
oh, I'm picturing the moment where I hug you and squeeze you and, I'm going to pick you up. And And then she says the thing about, can you pick me up? Will you be able to? And of course, Mr. I care about the physical things went back to the men's lounge to be like, oh, why would she say that? Was she just joking? Is she a heavier? Like what? I don't know. The whole interaction just rubbed me the wrong way.
I think also because he's the person who did so much to his looks, I think
The
that puts
nerve.
him in the headspace of, but what does she look like before? What does she look like now?
Yeah.
I do think that she shouldn't have given any reference to her physical appearance at all. I'm like, girl, why did you even say that?
Because she
But
also, to me, looks very pick up. I mean, I'm not a man. I don't know if I could
I
pick
mean, she
her
looks
up, but
normal.
who cares? Like, she looks like a very normal sized woman to me. Like,
Hmm.
so. And
Yeah, she's
what
getting
even is
swept up
normal? So, yeah.
by him being so assuring, but her gut is telling her, hey, he's a cheesy car salesman, but she doesn't want to hear it.
Yes.
And I wrote, she doesn't see it as a red flag like Jasmine. She kind of does, but not really. It's almost like she's just happy that someone's really into her in the process.
I feel like
Neither
it's
one
in
of
the
these are good
background.
options.
Neither one. But then she did call out Benaiah for not wanting to be like ready or for not being ready for the next step, which of course he can't confidently say he wants to be with her. It would be a change of his lifestyle. I don't even know why Benaiah came on the show, honestly, but I'm glad that he told her Sam isn't here for the right reasons because he did go back and forth about
He
that for a
did.
bit.
And I was glad too, but
Yeah.
I thought it's not going to matter. Even before we saw how it went down,
Yeah.
she wasn't. I think, I don't want to say she's desperate. It just seems like Nicole just really wants to progress in the process.
And not, I don't think progressing the process in the same way that Sam wants to progress in it. Like I don't think she's out here
Yeah.
for fame. I think she's actually in it for like this is
Hmm.
an opportunity and I want to take this opportunity.
At
That's
least,
what I
yeah,
think.
make it to the next step and then see,
And
because so many
explore.
people don't make it that
Yeah.
far. But yeah, I was glad Benaiah said something to her. Um, I mean, all the signs.
Were
Even
there.
Jasmine. So you have Jasmine, you have your own gut, and you have Ben telling you. And okay.
Yes. And the way Sam was
This is
pushing.
honestly, this is where Nicole started to kind of get on my nerves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Sam was fishing for information when Benaiah came back, like, oh, how did it go? He's like, oh, if it doesn't work with her, then I don't know who it's going to work out with. But I literally put down, even if she could talk it over with the other girl, Jasmine, that would be great. And then it happens in this episode and it still doesn't change. Can I say something? Because I feel like I always talk about the lip fillers. And I really like Jasmine, but I just sometimes the lip fillers be doing too much, and I think
Girl, I didn't even pay it no mind. Now let me go look. I
I don't.
really
It was just like she's such
it's
a
too
beautiful
much.
girl.
Let me
It threw me off a
see.
little bit, and I people can do whatever they want,
Oh,
but
I
it's
see
just it was
now.
just like a little too much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see. I see. Yeah,
Anyway,
I didn't see it while recording, but then again, I wasn't watching these people too closely.
okay. So at the end of episode 2, I think that was when Bobby did his rap, and
Mm-hmm.
so if she
Okay.
like it, we love it.
Okay. Can I say one thing? At this point, did you get the sense that their connection was strong enough for them to progress?
I thought so. For this show, they only have so much time. It
Mm-hmm.
seemed like they didn't have any other people who they were interested in. It seemed like they had very deep moments with each other. So I thought so.
Okay. So I will say I don't know that I saw much to where I'm like, oh yeah, this seems like they should progress. But I said from the way that Jasmine has presented herself, asking all the right questions, clocking the right T, I'm
Yeah.
gonna trust you with this. So
I'm
Go
gonna
ahead
let you
and
have this,
progress.
Jasmine.
We're gonna let you have this, but yeah, I'm like, oh, y'all vibe, y'all are cool, but
Yeah.
I really wasn't getting proposal vibes from
Okay.
what we saw.
What did you think when they met up though? Because I thought it wasn't like the most memorable, but they're very attractive people. They find each other attractive.
Yeah, let me see. Where did I was it
It
on
was
this
closer
page?
to
Let
like
me
the
see.
middle.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I have their reveal on
There wasn't
this.
much to it. There was
Yeah,
not.
maybe I didn't. I feel like they walked in
Hmm.
and they embraced each other. I think he was giving her compliments.
Yeah.
He seemed to be very happy with what he saw.
And she kept saying stuff like, "Oh, you're so cute."
Mm-hmm.
Later on, she did mention that she's used to guys with like tattoos or something like that, and he's more
Mm-hmm.
clean cut. So I don't know if that's something that will come up in the later episodes, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I wrote a question even before she said that around her attraction to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the reveal wasn't cheesy. I just got that he seemed to be really really pleased, and she
Okay.
was like, "Oh, you're cute."
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
So,
All right. So Maria and Tom.
oh, I found the note in their reveal. He tries to kiss her, and she did turn to the side. Sorry.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, sorry. It was on the next page of my notes because they technically had their reveal at the beginning of episode 3.
Three.
So
Mm-hmm.
she, he actually runs to her, says, "Wow, you're stunning. You're a stunner." He tries to kiss her. She turns to the side, says, "Wow, you're cute," and then they finally kiss. And then they were giving each other a lot of kisses. So that's what it was. It was the head turn to the side.
I
Where
didn't
I was
catch the
like,
head turn.
it was a head turn. I saw it.
Saw it with my own eyes. Okay, I'll take your word for it.
That's
Because
why.
again,
But even before she said, "Oh, he's typically not my type," I wrote
mhm.
that. I'm like,
Okay,
why did you? Even not a peck. Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay.
Anyway, shall we go to Maria and Tom? This was the episode where she says that she would want to be at home with small children, and
Yeah. You know what he says? Oh, the whole stay-at-home wife thing's just not my vibe.
Tom got on my nerves starting here because he was so undecided. And I just felt like, not that age is an indicator of decisiveness, but I did feel like, okay, you're 38 years old. Which one is it going to be? Is it going to be Maria? Is it going to be Natasha? Like, why are you flip-flopping?
I think because he was trying to decide, do I go with the girl who I would be friends with really well, but I'm running the risk of, is there a sexual
Hmm.
connection there, or the girl where I already feel this sexual connection? Because he said in this episode, "Oh, I have a good intuition. I have a good intuition that I'd have good physical chemistry." He said that about Maria.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was more so, do I go with the friendly vibe or do I go with the sexual connection
Hmm.
and I know I'll be friends with her?
Okay, fair.
That's
Fair.
how I saw it.
Yeah.
Um, but back to the whole thing about the whole stay-at-home mom thing or her
Yeah.
wanting to be with her kids. I didn't like how when they were having the conversation, instead of him asking more questions around, well, what is that? What would that look like for you? Or what does that mean? He jumps right to, oh, that's not my vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like her answer to it was a bit of a retreat in that, oh, well, I didn't mean this or that, or it would only be for 1 or 2 years. And I wrote, Maria, if you already know it's a desire for you to have that time with your children, stand on that. He may not be
Mm-hmm.
the one, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But don't try to bend and be super malleable before you've even opened the door on that experience, because
Yeah.
to me his answer came off very rigid. It's like, you don't even have kids yet, so you don't know. You should have an open mind, and that's it. Like, you don't know what you don't know, so keep an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
Not say, oh, that's not my vibe. How do you know something's not your vibe that you never did before?
Yeah. And he's asking all these questions, but can't make a decision. Like, you're asking the serious questions, the right questions, the intentional questions, and they're not helping you make your decision. Like, I don't know. He started to annoy me. at this
He
point.
said that he told her, oh, after she said, oh, well, it would only be for the first 1 or 2 years. He
Hmm.
says, oh, I understand and I could be down with that. I said, I'm not convinced.
And I felt like Maria maybe put a little pressure
Mm,
on him, and historically in this show, with the person who puts pressure is the one who doesn't get picked or whatever the case might be. But yeah, I just wasn't loving the indecisiveness of Tom.
and she asked him if you still have any other connections. He says, yeah. She says, you're my number one, which I kind of wish she didn't say,
Yeah.
but it's fine. Uh, and he's like, oh, I don't have a number one. It's too soon to say.
And we can't say if it was too soon or not because we don't know what day this is, but at this point we're on episode 3, sir.
Mm-hmm.
That added to the annoyance for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So Ollie and Demi, this was the episode where she opened up about the endometriosis. Do you think this was too soon? Do you think she should have opened up about it? What are your thoughts?
Mm, I don't know. It's a tricky one. I get why she waited because she said in the past it's scared men off
Hmm.
from maybe wanting to have a relationship with her. Um, but I err on the side sometimes sooner rather than later, so neither one of you start to fall for each other,
Oh, I thought the timing
knowing
was perfect.
you thought it was perfect. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like episode 2, once you see like, oh, I'm really vibing with this person, in my mind, that's when I would have those conversations. Yeah.
But again, we can't say what the timing was when
And
she
and
did
I'll
that.
and even if she told him earlier, coming on a show like this, it's risky, in that people are aware of the cameras and the answers that they're going to give. So
Hmm.
even with the answer that he gave, it could be completely genuine. At the same time, I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't have maybe an issue with it. He would not get on global television and be like, well, I'm not interested in you because you have a disease that may prevent you from having children naturally. He would never say it. So I don't know. I'm all over the place when it comes to stuff like this. I don't know that there's a right answer.
Hmm.
I it went how I thought it would go.
Okay.
The
Fair.
same way, well, I'll leave that off. Yeah, never mind.
I thought the timing was right. Like, okay, now they're locking in. He and his other connection have dissolved, and they're
Hmm.
locking into each other. Also, considering what he had said in the first episode, I thought, okay, this is a decent time to bring it up. But that's just me.
Hmm.
All right, who have we not talked about? Oh, I think this is the episode that Nicole actually
Oh,
chooses
one
Sam.
second on Demi. She said she
Yeah.
feels like the way she feels for Ollie is like a schoolgirl crush. She really wants to connect with him on an emotional level.
Hmm.
And I wrote, that's interesting. At this point, I'm like, I would have thought that she would have said, like, he seems like really in on their connection from an
No,
emotional standpoint. And I think with her, maybe this was the conversation she was waiting for.
that's what I took it
Okay,
as.
so she said that first, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe this was the next level for her.
Yes.
So now they seem to be even, maybe with the
Right.
emotional connection. Okay,
That's what I thought. I felt like she couldn't fully
get in.
yeah, until she
Hmm.
knew that she told him this secret. So
Hmm.
that's how I felt about it. All right, this was the episode that Catherine and Freddie saw each other. Did they see each other? Yeah, I think they did see each other. I put all that
Hmm.
crying. They better make this work. But I thought his proposal was extremely sweet, and he seems very genuine. Like if at the end of this season we find out that Freddie wasn't genuine, I would be like, pack the whole show up.
Freddie, you had us all fooled. Yeah, I
Okay.
thought their reveal was fine. She walks out ugly crying so bad. Then they were quiet. She says, "Oh my God, it's you. It's you."
I don't know.
I can't believe it. She says, "Oh, you're so good looking." I didn't hear a response from him, but the vibe he gave off was it's
Yeah.
mutual. I said it's a nice looking couple, and then in his confessional, he says that she's stunningly beautiful. So
All right.
yeah.
And so that's them. And then we can end this episode 3 on Nicole and Sam. Nicole, Sam, and Benaiah. So Nicole has a choice to make, and of course, she makes the wrong choice. And she goes into Sam. He does this, like, I wasn't even planning on doing this, but I'll do it right now, and proposes to her. And she's like, oh, yeah, sure, let's do it. What? This is not how I want a love story to happen. And no, I know it's not like a romance novel, but
It it's giving a bit desperate, Nicole.
I don't know. I felt like she was caught off guard. And then she said, I think she said that she loved him. And he goes, nobody has ever loved me, and I need someone to love me. And then later on, he goes, I think I love you too. Excuse me? After, I don't
I'm
know.
sorry if somebody says no one has ever loved me. I'm sorry. This is not the energy I
Why
would
have
want
they
to be
not loved
getting.
you? Are you not loved? I don't know.
This is giving Lifetime movie. I don't want to be the first. Your mama, your daddy, your cousin,
Oh, nobody loved you? Yeah.
somebody.
Yes. But I could
Mm-mm.
tell that when she finally went and broke the news to Benaiah, I could tell he really cared about her. Do I think he was the right person? No. We say it every season. It's okay to come on this show and not leave with somebody. You had a fun time dating. You can go home without a man. Yours will come later. You can go home without a woman. Yours will come later. All right. So, final episode we can run through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Natasha, it kind of broke my heart when Tom like told her that he was going a different way. I was hurt for
Yeah.
my girl, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, he said it was a massive gamble. I think with Maria, he just sensed all the boxes would be checked. And with Natasha, it was a question mark.
Yes.
I got the vibe that him and Natasha would probably fit well. I just don't know if there would be that
Excitement, the
romantic,
spark.
sensual spark there, because her energy just didn't give that in the
Yeah.
plots from what we saw.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, fair. And then since we're talking about Tom, we might as well talk about Maria. And, so he proposes to her, and then they. Girl, that red lipstick, she should have thought twice.
when he said, "Oh, I'm gonna wear a red dress and red lips," she looked amazing, but the red lip, absolutely not.
There are too many brands who have non-transferable lipstick.
Girl.
That was a sight to see. Like she could have borrowed something from one of the other girls, something, but they were really into each other, so that's great.
There was lots of kissing. That was another thing too. Oh,
Too much.
just red everywhere.
Too much.
They seem attracted to each other, very sensual. Wasn't awkward. I'm like,
Yes.
okay. The physical attraction is there. I'm not sure beyond that.
Okay. I agree. So Nicole and Sam's reveal, because we got to talk about this. He hugs her and goes, "So what do you think about himself, Miyosha?"
The very first thing they walk up, you could already tell the way she was looking
He wasn't
when they
what she
were walking.
expected.
It was a no.
Yeah.
But then he's like, "So what do you think?"
That
Not you
had to
look
be a
beautiful. Not
none of that. And then you know what's funny? Nicole, she cannot hide her feelings. Her face said it all. Her face was an entire script. Because goodness, it was so awkward. I don't know.
I think this has to be. Well, I haven't watched all the seasons, but this is up there. Has to be
Yeah,
with one of the strangest reveals.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because she couldn't hide it. She couldn't even fake. And then he said
Oh,
the "I think I love you" thing again.
her response when he was like, "What do you think?" She just says, "Yes, you're amazingly." Nothing else.
Yeah. She changed her. Even like usually they walk away and then they're staring at each other while the thing closes. She couldn't take it.
we missed the ring on the wrong finger.
We
Him
did.
dropping the box.
I was gonna get to that when we get
Oh,
to the
okay.
Greece trip. Yes,
Oh, okay.
but
So many signs.
yeah. So she couldn't even stand there and watch him with the curtain closing.
Just
She
trust me. You trust
was
me.
just like.
Just trust me.
Anyway, I
Hmm.
was very happy to see that though. I'm not gonna lie, I was thrilled because I thought they were gonna drag us through this. Okay, and then Demi and Ollie. I think that's
I'm gonna
when.
say something real quick that may be unpopular.
Okay,
Was Sam giving all the weird vibes? Yes. I think when she didn't see what she wanted to see, plus the weirdness, sealed the deal. I'll just say
fair,
that. I think if
fair.
he if that was Freddie that walked out,
You
the
don't even know if
reaction would
Freddie's her type. She might have thought he was too pretty, like how Jasmine
okay.
thinks about
I
Bobby.
think it was his weirdness,
Okay,
but she had been sensing this weirdness too.
the
So
entire
the
time.
the
Her.
entire time. So I don't even think it was the weirdness of the reveal. I think
Okay,
physically he wasn't what she wanted.
that's
And then
fair.
when that was like, oh, absolutely not. Yeah. So
Okay, fair. All right, so let's do Ollie and Demi, and then we can go to quickly the Greece trip. But
okay.
so Ollie proposes. Um, he said he's not been seen as the guy who would settle down and people would be surprised, which concerned me. But I liked their reveal. I liked the way that he talked to her and about her. He was saying he brought the crystal and he said that she's kind-hearted, intelligent, caring, generous. He said that I respect you, I appreciate you, and I love you. I'm like, okay, Ollie, like I liked the way that he was speaking, and I put don't mess this up. Do not
Yeah.
mess this up.
So she was, when she was talking about her weight and how she's a bit of a tomboy, I'm like, Demi, you're beautiful. Like, I wish
Yeah, she needs
she
confidence.
wasn't saying all those things because I'm like, I want you to be confident when you go out there.
And meet
Don't
him.
and meet him. So I kind of felt like when the doors open, you could kind of sense a bit of that energy on her.
Okay.
Just my opinion. So when they walked out, her head was down and his head was down. And so I don't know. He says you're gorgeous. They kiss. He
And
was
she
also saying
is like
she
face card
is.
not declining.
Um, he was also talking a lot about her body. And I wrote, well, I think the compliments are great. I also wonder because she made the comments about her being overweight and her maybe body image issues. I was kind of nervous, like this could go either way. You making comments about her body, like you know
Hmm.
how like some people will say things as a compliment, but
Okay.
maybe not know they don't know each other like that. So I don't know. I wrote like, I don't. We'll see how this goes. He was making a lot of comments about her backside and her curves and
Yeah, but also a lot of those were in the confessional and not directly to her. So
true. He was saying a few things when they were together,
yeah, but
and then people turned
I don't know
around.
how she took it, but I do think she
Yeah.
picked the perfect outfit. I think she looked amazing, and it seemed like he genuinely liked what he saw.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Um, I wrote that she thinks he's out of her league.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I could see that. I think she was
And
just
that's why I
down
wanted
on
her to be
herself.
more confident. She's absolutely beautiful. He looks good
Hmm.
too, but give the energy he's giving. You look just as good as he do, if not
Yeah,
better. So, yeah.
I agree. All right, so do we want to talk about Greece? Greece didn't really have too many things yet, so that'll be the next few episodes. But that's when Jasmine said that she has her type with tattoos and rugged. Um,
But she said she still likes the way he looks.
he is
So,
very nice looking.
yeah. So,
Uh,
we'll see if she can get past that for real.
yeah, honestly, when they went to Greece, there was something about Catherine that I didn't fully trust. And I don't know what it is. Maybe the next few episodes will reveal that to me. But there
Oh
was just
yeah, she was
something
like, "Oh
about
yeah,
her.
we all the laughing and the
And then I think there was some mention about seeing the others or something. And I just,
Oh yeah, she brought up Ollie to Freddie.
yes. So
Why?
I don't think Freddie, I don't I don't think Freddie was her first choice. When she did the whole I'm gonna be the bigger person, it was
Hmm.
to keep herself from being rejected. I think Ollie was the one she wanted to leave with.
Oh, of course. But when she sensed that he was leading with Demi,
Hmm.
the choice was really taken from her. I think also Freddie being a nice looking man, it's like, okay, I hope he's not just a placeholder for her to start playing games for what she really wants.
What she yeah.
But
I
yeah,
just
she's
don't
like, oh my
trust her.
gosh, look at him. Hmm?
I just don't trust her. And then
Yeah.
with Ollie and Demi, I know that's her man, but I do wish she would stop giving him so many compliments.
This
So
goes back to the
bad.
confidence thing because he
Yeah.
even said, I'm supposed to say that to you. And I wrote at the end of this episode, I could see Ollie being physically attracted to her.
Hmm.
I don't know long term if he'll be attracted to her, the energy she's giving him.
Giving, yeah.
Like it's a toss up. If he's
Yeah.
not, I'm not surprised because I do feel like she is a bit intense.
I don't know if intense, but you know the energy that I said I liked at the beginning, episode one, where she's like talking her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand that if you went from talking your stuff to now you're like closing up because you think whatever, maybe I'm too attractive for you or whatever the case might be. I could see how that shift could maybe interfere with how he's feeling towards her. But we'll have to
Yeah.
see. Other than that, I do like her chill and laid back vibe. And then I guess the biggest thing that happened at the end of this episode was Nicole and Sam. When I tell you, I was so caught up in the other couples that I didn't even realize they weren't there.
Girl, I realized they weren't there, and I was so happy. Thank you for not dragging this out.
And then that's when she right, and that's when she was like, "Yeah, he put the ring on the wrong finger and on the wrong hand, and didn't even notice." Now, if this were anybody else, I could understand like, "Oh, it's a proposal, and you're nervous, so you don't do everything right." But I'm whatever it was that she needed, whatever she needed to know that it wasn't him, I'm okay with. Whether he really didn't care or he made an honest mistake, it doesn't matter. He was not it for her.
Okay.
What?
I kind of I thought I remember her kind of fumbling with the ring too. Like both of their hands were like all caught up in it. So I get her saying like it's not a good look to put it on the wrong finger. But even that whole interaction, she like grabbed the ring. I thought, I don't know, maybe I could be wrong. I still stand by. I think it's also the way he looks. So
Okay. I said, Jasmine, now this does not mean you need to get with Benaiah. Like, do not take this to be that you gotta go and
oh, you mean Nicole?
Nicole, sorry.
Yeah.
Why did I say Jasmine? But yeah, Nicole, thank you. Nicole, this does not mean you need to go back to Benaiah. What did you think about Sam making it seem like he was the one who broke things off? Like, yeah, when we met after we met, it just didn't feel right.
It sounds about right. Yep. Like most people do. They don't want to be the one that's dumped.
He and
He's
Catherine
been
need to
on
be
this
together.
this sales pitch this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All
not
right.
surprising.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, we have tried our best to run through the 4 episodes. We got to catch up and watch the other.
Ooh. Do you
What?
want to give predictions on who you think will actually make it since it's the first episode?
Make it like get married or make it to
Get
the
married.
altar?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. The only couple that I think might get married would be Sabrina and Steven.
Mm.
And maybe Maria and Tom, but I'm not strong on that maybe. I think
I'm,
Steven and Sabrina would be the only couple that I see making it.
I agree with the Sabrina and Tom.
Steven.
Um, I'm sorry, Steven. Yeah.
Y'all
Um,
know who we talking about.
yeah, y'all know who we're talking about. And I could see Freddie and Catherine. I don't know that it'll
Okay.
work, but I could see her going through with it
Okay.
and him. Yeah, the others.
I don't see her go. I don't see her going, and I think he will realize soon enough that he's too good with
Yeah.
whatever it is that she's gonna pull. I don't know what, but I just don't trust her. I
You
think
don't see
she'll
it for
bring.
all. You don't think Ollie and Demi will? I don't think they will.
I don't think they will. I think this might be a good dating relationship, but not. They just each have
Mm.
work to do.
Mm. I'd agree with that. Okay.
Okay, so we'll end on agreement. And
Yeah.
you guys let us know what you thought about these episodes and these people. And we will
Hmm.
see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.